Hello everybody. This is Tiffany Divine Misfit here to give your very second spooky story. So this story is going to be about when I heard something in my ear. But before we get started, I just want to give a special shout out. I saw that I got 3 new subscribers. One from that preview, from that short I made, and the other from Louise Hay. I just want to say thank you so much. Like, your support means everything to me, and when I saw that you guys subscribed, it made my day. So thank you so much, and I hope that you're all having a great day, a great morning whenever you're seeing this, or a great evening. So get started. This again is about when I don't remember my age at the time, but I think I might have been teenage at the time. So yeah, so this is going to be the second spooky ghost story here. So if you're interested, like and subscribe, but then also stick around. If not, scroll on by. So without further ado, so yeah, as I was mentioning, I think I was a teenager at this time. I don't remember how old I was, but I remember it was just one night. But just to give a little bit of reference, I remember there would be times when I would be in my room and I would just feel really creeped out. Like, I always felt like there was always like something there, and my bed would always shake. And it wasn't like a violent shake. It would just be like if you had a mini earthquake and you feel the bed doing this. So during this time, I just remember I was sleeping, but back then when I was young, I didn't have any back issues like how I do now. So I was able to sleep on my stomach. And I remember what would be super comfortable for me was like I would sleep on my stomach, and then I remember I would sleep with like my head to the side. And just to give a reference, my room was really small. I just remember I had a big sliding glass mirror, put a picture like right here of it. And so my bed was facing the wall, and then right next to my bed was the sliding closet door. Then I had a shutter, and then that's where I had like my dressers and stuff. So in this particular night, I just remember I was dead asleep, and I don't remember if my dog Buddy was sleeping with me, but I do remember that I was just dead cold asleep. And so my head was facing the closet, the sliding closet, so like my head was like this. And so my ear was up, and I remember I heard something whisper in my ear. It wasn't loud, but it was loud, but it was quiet. I don't recognize what it said. I didn't hear any English, no Spanish, nothing. It literally sounded like, and I remember when I heard this like in my ear, I just remember I woke up, but it reminded me of like when Squidward, when he realized that SpongeBob was in the room with him. And he's like, good night, SpongeBob. And his eyes went. I remember feeling I couldn't move. And I felt frozen. And I was so scared. I remember feeling that if I was to like turn around to the other side of me, now facing where the shutter would be, I would see something. And I just stayed there, and I tried not to show any fear, but it took every bit of ounce of strength that I had just to get up from that bed, go and turn on the lights. And then when I did, that's when there was nothing there. And I just remember sleeping all that night with the light on. But you know what would be kind of weird though? Like when these things would happen, it would be like, okay, that was weird, that was creepy, but you just kind of like move on from it. I don't know if that was just our coping at the time, but it really did legit feel like that. Like anytime that something happened, you would just like brush it off and move on. And so I remember years later, you know, I put it aside, you know, just to forget about it. And so here's where the I guess you could say like the creepy closure of this. I wouldn't find this out until like maybe 3 years ago. So I was dating this person at the time, and I remember I told him this because he was like a big believer in ghost stories too. And so I remember I did a reading on this because I've always wondered like what whispered in my ear. And just to be clear, I still don't know what it was, like whether it was something like a demon or like something of like a entity. Obviously this thing wanted me to feel scared. Obviously this thing wanted me to know that it was there. So as I did this reading, I remember this, that when I shuffled the cards, I kept getting the Chariot, and I was thinking like, what does this mean? Because you know, anyone who does tarot would know that sometimes tarot can be not literal. Sometimes it could be like what the image of the card says. This is just where your intuition comes into play, and like where you really have to like say what feels right instead of like what you know what the card means. And I remember I kept looking at it over and over and over again, and then it finally clicked, and I legit got so creeped out. So what it was is that the Chariot meant that something was hovering above me as I was sleeping. And I remember getting the Three of Cups. Now, when I was thinking Three of Cups, this usually means like a gathering, right? Or a celebration or gossip. But then when I thought about it, when I was in my room and feeling like I was gonna see something, that's what it was. That really there was something there. And there was actually something like on the side of me. And so okay, I apologize if you hear anything in the background. So I'm using a library right now, so if you hear other noise in the background, again, just ignore it. Anyways, so where was I? So when I did the Three Cups, it usually means like a gathering, a gossip, or it could be celebration, right? It began to make sense because I remember when I turned around, like when I wanted to turn around, I was scared that I was going to see something. The tarot was saying that there was at least 2 or 3 entities approximately. So I wasn't by myself that night. And those things may have been like on the other side of the bed. And I feel to this day that if I would have looked, I would have saw something. And honestly, I don't know how I would have felt. I probably feel like, okay, that was scary, and I probably move on and probably talk about it later, but I don't know. I really don't know. It really spooks me. And so as I was like doing all these cards, like I just remember I was thinking like, why doesn't this, like, it doesn't make sense. And then I asked it, what was its intention of doing this? I remember the Nine of Swords came up. And for anyone who does tarot, Nine of Swords usually means overthinking, analyzing, but then also it could mean anxiety, it could mean fear. And the creepy thing was that the Nine of Swords usually depicts, like, especially if you look at the Rider-Waite traditional, like I'll show her here. it's a woman in bed, and she's crying, or she's having nightmares, and it means that I believe this thing wanted me to feel scared. I really feel like this thing probably fed on our fear at the time. Like, our household was just really, really toxic. But I just remember feeling like it fed on the toxicity inside the house. So, yeah. And I just remember when I got that closure, I'm like, oh, it still gives me chills to this day. Like, I am so glad, like, whatever that was, like, I did not see it. There, in this particular time too, I remember my sister would tell me that she would feel really creeped out in my room, and she would feel that my bed would shake too. And I don't know if hers ever did, but I feel like it was mostly mine. But like I said before, it's not like a violent shake, like like that. It literally felt like when you sleep, it feels like it's going like this. And I don't know if I should put this in the story because it is a completely different topic. But I guess before I continue, for all my viewers, I'm open to suggestions and opinions of what you think, judging by my story, of what you think this thing wanted, or do you agree that it legit wanted to scare me? Because I remember I've gotten different reviews. I've gotten one where someone has told me that this thing either wanted to possess me, or this thing just wanted me to know it was there, or it just wanted to spook me. I don't know. But this story is actually going to be shorter than I thought it was going to be. But I guess I'll add this one in. I remember always feeling the upstairs was just very, very heavy. And you always felt like things were watching you. I just remember sometimes you would just hear knocks like, and I remember sometimes, like, when I would go to my mom's room and my dad's room, they had the master bedroom, and it always creeped me out. Like, I always felt that there was like something lingering in their bathroom, because my mom and dad had their master bedroom, and inside the bedroom, which I could show you here, in their bedroom they had a bathroom and they had a walk-in closet. And sometimes when I would get scared, I would go in their room and sleep, and I would sleep on the floor. And I just remember always feeling creeped out in that room, really creeped out. And the house itself and the downstairs felt creepy too, but upstairs was the worst. I just remember sometimes we would hear like footsteps going down those stairs. And I remember always feeling, because we had like this little room that we used at the time, I'll put right here, that we used for like a computer room. And so I just remember always feeling creeped out. Like, if you guys ever seen Harry Potter, of like those Dementors, that's legit how I felt like there was something in that house. I would never know what is haunting that place. Like, I've done my own readings on it, But I mean, like, specifically, like, what I mean is for all those who are familiar with Amy Allen, she is a paranormal medium, and she goes to people's houses when she used to do the Dead Files, and how she could go to like people's homes and she could pinpoint and see exactly what's in that home in that area. I wish I had that ability to know, but then at the same time I'm kind of glad, because I would be scared of what I would be seeing every day. So I guess I'll just add in this one too, so just to give a little bit more of a story time. I think one of the creepiest things that has happened in that house, I seen a chair move by itself. I remember my dad and I were downstairs watching TV, and we both looked at the chair, because we had a table and we had like chairs like that was like right in front of where that granite countertop was, and there was this one chair that just went like it legit went, and my dad and I didn't say anything, we just looked away. I've seen the washing machine. My mom, she went to do errands, and I was upstairs by myself. And I remember at the time, I was doing chores, but my mom went to go grocery shopping. And I remember I had the house to myself for a little bit, and I just remember my mom was doing laundry, and for some reason the washing machine just stopped, but it felt like too sudden, like it should not be done this quick. And then when I went to look, the lid was open. And I remember feeling like in shock and thinking like, what the? And I just remember feeling nervous. I'm not gonna lie, a little scared, but I felt like I've never really shown it. But then I didn't know that I was more of a freeze kind of person, like a freeze fawn response. So I just remember I walked to that washing machine and I closed it, and the machine just continued like normal, and it never did anything. And there was a time too, like in that bathroom, where I remember something told me just to look at the door, and then I saw the door unlock. And I just remember I continued doing what I was doing. I guess I could do one more story. I remember you would always hear footsteps, and it would always be in my mom's room. My mom's and dad's room. You could hear like you could hear these were like footsteps, and they were like walking back and forth. Or sometimes I remember you could hear it like walk like where their bed was, and like go to like where their bathroom was. And you could hear that this was distinct footsteps, like I made the camera shake. But I remember thinking like, what the? And there would be times where like the door would just shut like very, very violently, like that. And this would always be like my mom's room. And where we used to live, I lived in Fontana at the time, so we would get really strong gusty winds. And I just always kind of like excused it as like, oh well, it's the breeze, or you know, it's the wind. But I don't think a wind that you would visibly see, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you were to know, like, it's wind, you would hear it from the outside, but it was never so strong that you can hear the wind for it to, like, violently close a door like that. And so I remember we would always just not talk about it. We would just kind of brush it off, and we would just go on our day. We never spoke about these things. We never acknowledged it. Sometimes I kind of wonder too, like, what my parents, what kind of like experiences they had, but they never spoke about. I know a couple from my sister, but as of my own, I do have a couple more. I guess I might as well share it, right? Because I don't know if these would all be good in a video, or maybe for the viewers here. Like, what do you think? Do you think I should give another story time? Again, I'll see what I can do because these two stories are very short. But I'll do my best. If you're interested even in a short spooky story, let me know down in the comments. But I guess I'll just end it here. I didn't think this video would be short that like how it is, but here we are. So again, without further ado, thank you so much, everybody. This is the Divine Misfit here with your second spooky story time of mine. So again, thank you. Have a great, beautiful day. I love you. Stay safe. Take care. Bye-bye.